Hello, and welcome to today's episode where I am going to share the typical, what I want to call levels that my clients go through and myself. This has all been built through my own experience as well as the training that I've done of the different levels that happen after you have shifted your energy and worked with your internal state. Like anything, it isn't linear. So don't listen to this and be like, okay, cool. So after I've worked with Lucy or any other kind of modality of energy work or someone else, I'm going to go to this level. It's like entrepreneurship. It's like this. It's unpredictable. It's rocky. It's fun. It's wavy. You don't know what you're going to get, but you know you're going to get what you need. It can be messy. It can be ugly, but it can be super sexy and it's so worth it at the end. We're always working on ourselves for more pleasure and play in our lives, right? It's always the goal, always the goal. So, typically when you have worked through your inner state, so say you've had like one session with me, for example, what you might notice is you will start to get like an influx of similar, what I call tests. And a test is basically a situation that you have been consciously and subconsciously working through to break. Let's give a love example. I know you all love to hear love examples. Say you have ended it with your partner, long-term partner, really wasn't healthy for you, wasn't healthy for them. So much like grief and trapped trauma reminded you maybe of a parent in your life or a caregiver in your life, and just you've deeply cut the cords, you've done the energetic work, you're feeling like you're coming out of your fresh, what I want to say, like cocoon. You're that like butterfly that's about to turn into a caterpillar, right? So you're like, okay, cool. I feel like, ooh, like a sense of relief in my body. Like I'm ready. Bam. Your ex-boyfriend comes up, your ex-girlfriend comes up, your ex-partner turns up, or bam, there's a trigger where you have to speak to them, you have to reach out to them. There is a situation that you can't avoid that has to happen. And you're like, and this is basically an example of a test, right? The universe is like, okay, universe, God, source, whatever you want to term as, whatever you believe, whatever you don't. Okay, I always use universe. When you are changing your inner world and you're making all these shifts, your outer world has to reflect that, right? But typically when you're early stages into going into a new level of the video game, so you're removing a certain level, a layer from you that no longer aligns with your purpose, your authentic self, was never in alignment with who you were, but you had learned or absorbed as a child, or it's generational. So our body can start up to 14 generations of trauma in the body. So if you think about all the wars, all the famine, all the poverty, all the incredible experiences as well, right? Of course, we can typically inherit them into our karmic cycles. So those situations may feel familiar to us, but we've got to a point in our lives where we're like, no more. No more being in these relationships. No more entertaining this. I'm going to do the work. And the universe is like, great, cool, amazing. Then you get into situations where you have to communicate, you have to speak, or surprisingly, you hear from them, you bump into them, or they start to be with someone else that you know about. Like all these different things that can be so heartbreaking and so traumatizing. It's like, are you going to repeat the same pattern as before and entertain this? Or are you going to step into your higher self and who you are and protecting you and the inner child within you and your well-being and your higher self and take another route, right? And this is why I always say integration is so important. Like there's never any rush with taking these new actions. And part of the integration is when these processes arise in your life. Part of integration is being in these processes, being in maybe this messiness of like the same shit's happening, but you're a different person. So now you make smarter choices. You make more authentic choices. You are creating deep safety for you, your family, and whatever position you're in, right? So once you have then gone through that new level in the video game, right? Because life's a video game, we're all playing. Then you may meet someone that's far more aligned for you in your life, or you may get an incredible business opportunity you've been waiting for and you've been calling in, or subconsciously you've been calling it in. Because what the universe will do is it will test our self-worth. It's always testing our self-worth in these situations. It's seeing what we'll entertain in our lives and what we really want in our lives, and whether that is in pure alignment with ourselves. So say you've been with this, you bump into this partner and you're like, nah, funny, get it, I see it, great. My inner world has shifted. I feel it, but now I'm seeing my outer world. And then we say to that person, we react in a far more calmer way, best for our interest at heart. Typically, I say 6 to 8 weeks. Sometimes it can be 12 weeks, depending on what we're working through. Something will shift in your life physically. Like I said, whether that's a new partner, whether that's a new business opportunity, a new career opportunity, a new lifestyle opportunity, it can be humongous things, but it can also be baby things towards bigger things in your life. You could just meet an incredible new person as a friend that could open up doors to you that you never believed on. It could give you a new perspective of life about your own business, about remembering how incredible people are in your life. All these shifts will start happening. And when you do energetic work, the first 3 days often are the days of like the test, depending on what we're working through. Like I said, nothing's linear, but this is through like my own experience, my own patterns. Then the next 3 months is when the big shifts will change, because you're being tested, right? You're having all these different dynamics coming up, you're having different friendships, different scenarios coming up, and then you make the decisions, right? Do you go left or do you go right? Do you go your same ways as you normally do, or you make a new change? So typically, if we choose to go back to what felt normal and safe to us, we go back to that partner. Like I said, no shame. Sometimes I think the average statistic is like, it takes 4 times. It is, this is right, yeah. Anyway, in Australia, it takes 4 times for women that are in a domestic violent relationships to go back to their partners before they've had final straw, like, I'm done, I'm over it, right? Because there's so much emotional investment, there's so much grief, there's so much lack of self-worth that they may have children, they have finances, like they'll, your lives may be entirely intertwined with that person, that you are going back. And that's, like I said, there's no shame, right? You have to work through these deep layers. So say you're in that video game where the video game's trying to take you to the next level, and your soul is like, we are ready. But the physicality of you, so like the structure of you as the character, still is programmed this way. This feels safe, even though the higher self knows that this isn't safe. And so if we go back to that was what I then take you to a level of a rut. You're in this like, you're in the trenches, you're in the sandpit, you're like, oh my God, I'm back. I'm in this like hole, right? You can see the way out, but it just feels like mountains. It just feels like really high walls, really high challenges to get out. And that's because you can see the light at the end of the tunnel effectively, but you just don't know how to get there. You do. Deep down, you do. You may even openly be like, yes, Lucy, I know I need to leave them. But it's the steps and the process that you need to take. It's the trying. It's the keep going back out there. It's like it's a muscle, right? You've also got to keep working. You've got to keep training to come out of it. And so the more energy work we do, the more things will start to become painful that aren't in alignment. So say you've gone back to that partner, right? That will start to feel, your body will start to reject it physically. And I don't wish this upon anyone, but often I get clients saying like, they've got inflammation, they are unwell, they aren't sleeping, they're naturally, if they're a female, like their yoni, their pussy, whatever you want to term it as, will start to reject and so get UTIs or thrush. Like the body is like, no fucking way. And so until you listen to that dis-ease, lack of ease in the body, right? That's going to keep screaming, right? And so often that's like a blessing, if you're going through those deep states of like unhealth, not feeling healthy in your body, which I don't wish upon anyone, that is because your body is communicating, mess makes, and we've got to make these changes now. Our subconscious is screaming. So that can be a rut, stuck in the hole. And then when we've made those decisions, we've made those steps, we've said no to the relationships, we've said no to the friendships, maybe even family dynamics, that have been feeding this scenario, this situation. The universe can sometimes then give us what we call a period of, if this isn't going to sound good, but like darkness, where it's like crickets, it's silence. So we might find like deep levels of loneliness. We might find that we don't have many friends at the moment, or we might find that even like with new careers, with clients and things, that things get really quiet, or the shifts that we've been making and we're consciously trying to change in our lives are silent. And that can last from about 2 weeks. God, I feel like sometimes it's been a while, but like 2 weeks to a month or so, depending on what you're working through. And that is also, once again, like another deep test of seeing like, okay, because the easy thing could be to pick up the phone to the ex, right? To go back there. Or the easy thing could be to reach out to that friend that wasn't healthy for you because you're lonely, right? Every human craves connection. We're meant to be connected with people. We're meant to be in community. Like we're meant to be in these deep, loving, heart-centered relationships in every area of our lives. That's what we're wired to be. It's what we're here for, right? So, maybe this period where it's like darkness, where we're doing that new energetic shift between finding people, a tribe that's more aligned, a partner that's more aligned, different family dynamics. Like these things take time, and that can be a really tough time, because it can be lonely. But the most strong and important part there is trusting yourself, putting yourself in different situations, whether that's joining new gyms, taking up a new hobby, just doing dinner with friends that made you feel good that you never really invested in because, say, you just, saw your ex-partner all the time, or you were with the friends that didn't fill up your cups, right? So that's typically the next level that can happen. And like I say, these levels like vary throughout. Then it's sometimes not linear. They're typically not linear. And then what we can have is the level up, right? When you hear like that song Level Up and you're like, woo, I'm leveling up on life. Like we're becoming this new version of me, like Beyonce, Sasha Fierce kind of vibes. This is when we have, say, passed the tests. And by means, when I say the word test, I think I need to call it something different. I think I'm going to call it maybe like opportunities to glow up, opportunities to flourish, opportunities to thrive. I'm going to think of something new. Watch the space. But when we have passed these opportunities for growth, this is when our energetics and our external world up levels. So our lives transform. But we have to really make sure that our nervous systems are regulated, which is why I go back to the safety in the body, to feel safe to receive all these things, to feel safe to date the most loving, secure partner that wants to look after you and have your best interests at heart, and you have the most incredible relationship. You want to feel safe in the nervous system, right? To receive this, to flourish through this, to enjoy this, to not self-sabotage it. The incredible new job that's like fully out of your growth expectations and like going to really deeply expand you and your entire world. You need to feel safe in the body. And that's when we up level, because the energetics in the inner world that we have done together has then shifted. We have become safe, become regulated, to then accept what is meant to come in through us for our best and highest self. And that's when we up level. And then once we then feel safe and we grow through those processes of up leveling and being in this next version of ourselves, so Lucy, God, 72.0, right? Because there's been so many, and there always is for people. We then go through another situation where something is brought up in our life that's ready to be looked at, to be ready to work through. And I always want to say, like, life isn't constantly healing. Like, it really isn't. The end goal is always to live a more authentic and fulfilled life. And everyone that I work with, the goal through me and through them is for them to become their own inner healer, right? I don't want to be working with you for years on end. It's not best for your growth. It's not best for my growth. And so I want to be able to support you through whatever phase you're on your life to then really work through these energetics. Once we work through them, they never come back. It's just another level of the video game, because our soul is always here to grow and expand, period, always. So yeah, I hope that helps for anyone right now that's like, holy shit balls, like, what level am I in? What am I experiencing? And I always love to hear your stories. Always love to hear like where you're at, what situations are coming up for you, and what patterns, right? Because it's funny, the universe will literally give us the same pattern, just in a different tin, just in a different packet, until we're ready to work through it. And 80% of all of our trauma is stored in our bodies. So there's your answer. I'm sending you so much love. Mwah. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for listening, as always. And for anyone out there right now that is listening and we have not worked together, I do one-off session. And after that, we work through a membership basis or a period of time together, because this is inner work that takes a certain amount of time. It's not like a wham bam one-off session, see you later, off you go with the fairies. It's important to really nourish and rewire you as a human to be your authentic self and to learn how to maintain this in your life. So all links from below with how best to work with me. If you have any questions or want to know anything else, send me a message and share. If you're thinking and you're listening to this and you're like, fuck, I'm in this stage of my life, drop me a DM. I always love to hear where you're at. So yeah, sending you so much love. And thank you for listening as always.